All right. Oh, look at all the babies. Hi. Good morning. Sorry, I got distracted by them. Hi. Yeah. Oh my gosh. All right, guys. Good morning. Welcome to meeting three. Meeting three. Yeah. So we're super excited about today. This is the first time. I don't know if you guys know this, but we do this over at the clinic where we are, and but this is our first time doing an entire talk on just sleep by itself. I'm going to sleep. Yep, we're going to talk about sleep, but you're going to stay awake while we talk about the sleep. But we mention sleep all the time. We mention it to you when we talk to you about your goals and ask you how much sleep you're getting, and it's like always done kind of in passing. We know how important sleep is and how it affects your goals, but we haven't put this much attention and emphasis on it. So we're excited to bring this to you. It's the first time we've given this particular talk, so bear with us. But yeah, so did everyone get an in-body scan today?
Yesterday. Or yesterday.
Good. Or yesterday. Cool. So let's, by show of hands, who had their muscle go up this week? Good. And then add to those hands, keep your hands up, add to those hands who maintained their muscle mass this week. Okay, so it didn't go down. All right, and then who had their muscle mass drop? Okay, and then the rest of you who didn't raise your hand, your muscle mass just disappeared?
Gone.
Okay, cool, just checking. Body fat went down. Okay, cool. Body fat maintained. Interesting, okay. And body fat went up. No? Okay. Body fat went up? Okay.
I looked at it.
Stupid. Okay. Okay. And then, what's the other one on that one? That's it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. 800 grams. That was our focus for the last week. Getting 800 grams of fruits and vegetables every day. Who did it? Fantastic. Out of you guys, how many of you were like, whoa, that's so much more fruits and vegetables than I normally eat? Okay, good. Right, so some of us already have a really good habit of eating lots of fruits and vegetables. So for some of you, that may not have felt like a lot of fruits and vegetables. But for others, it might have been like, whoa, this is twice my usual volume of fruits and vegetables. Anyone introduce themselves to new ways of eating fruits and vegetables, where like you did like a plate of broccoli? Yeah? Did anyone eat a whole watermelon? No, just me? Okay. You did? You did the watermelon trick? Okay, good. Yeah, okay. I told you. I'm talking about one day. Yeah, okay, good. Awesome. So did you guys experience any changes? Like, did you notice your digestion changing? Things like that? Okay. Bad changes? Good changes? Good changes. Okay, awesome. Fantastic. So we're going to try and maintain that level of fruits and vegetables over the next 2 weeks. We are now halfway through the quick cut. Week 1 was focusing on protein intake. Week 2 was focusing on fruit and vegetable intake. And now we're going to continue into week 3 and 4 with no particular focus, but to maintain both things. Does that make sense? Now, were you guys logging your food the last 2 weeks, right? To track protein and track fruits and vegetables. So for the next 2 weeks, we're not logging food. Now you've got to do it based on what you've built in terms of habits and visual recognition of what you need. And that's the next 2 weeks. That's really important because we don't expect you to log your food for the rest of your life. So this is where we practice without having that food log, without having the scale, without that check-in every day to make sure you're getting enough. Because that is more realistic for us, right? I mean, there are some very few humans, maybe out of the hundreds that we've been doing this with, there's like 3. Seriously, 3 people who just keep on logging and measuring their food for the rest of their life, like years and years and years and years, maybe 4. Okay, maybe 5. I just thought of more people. So like 5 out of like 600 people that just keep doing it over the years, right? And so it's, for most of us, logging and measuring all the time is not a realistic plan for the rest of our lives. So we need to learn how to eat this way and how to maintain this without that safety net of our food logs. Make sense? Okay, so that's what we're going to do for the next 2 weeks. Yep. How many got your 5 to 6 workouts? Raise your hand. All right, really good. Is that a lot more than you're used to? Have you ramped up? Okay, cool. And then how many times did we go off plan? I want you to think back to your week, just this last week, and then you're going to hold up on your fingers how many times you went off plan.
Oh, 2 or more, you said? 2.
Did you have 2?
I did.
I had 2. Okay. Yep. All right. Nice, Caleb. Good. All right. And did you still get results? Raise your hand. Even going off plan. Cool. All right. So again, we're proving that even with a couple slip-ups here and there going off plan, I don't even like calling them slip-ups. We went off plan. You still got results because of the attention to what you're doing otherwise. Okay? Good. Sleep. We're talking sleep today. How many got your 8 hours every single night this week? Yeah. How many really screwed up their sleep this week? I did. Good. How many had other human beings screw up their sleep this week? Yeah. Good. Okay, well, we're going to get right into it.
Okay, so this is our pyramid of health, essentially, right? With the pyramid, we want to build our way up this. So as you see, sleep is on the bottom because it's actually it makes a difference for all of these other things. So if we're not addressing sleep, then the rest of the stuff is going to suffer, right? We want to work our way here. Obviously, nutrition comes up right on top of sleep there. And then our exercise, and then stress and all those other things that interfere with our health, right? That don't quite make as big of a difference if we haven't addressed these things. So this is just to show us sleep is really important. It's the base of that pyramid. So that's why we're going to focus on it today. Okay. Cool. So how much sleep should we be actually trying to get, right? This is our CDC has their whole recommendations. And basically all the way from infant to adult, you can check out how much sleep is recommended for you, right? For a healthy amount of sleep. Most of us falling somewhere in here, right? 7 or more hours, 7 to 9 hours when we hit this 61 to 64 years old, 7 to 8 when we get a little bit older. And so on average, over only 35% of US adults are getting less than 7 hours of sleep. So, and as we raised our hands here, there's only, I think, 4 people that hit 8 hours. And so it's a big problem, right? We see it at the clinic all the time. Hey, I have problems with sleep. I'm getting 6 hours, 4 hours. It's a chronic issue here. And so that's where, like we said, we're not going to be able to hit all the rest of our health if we're not addressing the sleep as a big part of it. The other really big thing is that when we don't sleep well, it leads to a lot of chronic issues, right? So not only is it just we're tired all the time, but then we're ending up with more obesity, more blood pressure issues, more stress, more mental health issues. It's not just I'm tired, it's this bigger chronic issue bubble that shows up in there. So, cool.
And practically speaking, how many of you shoot for 7 hours? You're like, I'm gonna shoot for 7 hours. Cool. I have a question. When you are doing your budgets for your household, right? And you're like, I need, $2,500 to cover my bills. Do you shoot for making $2,500 that month? No, right? You shoot for making more than that to make sure you can cover your bills and whatever else that comes up, right? So if you are shooting for the bare minimum requirement for your health and to protect your chronic health, we've got a situation there and we need to change that. You need to be shooting for more than 7 hours. Notice that there is not a single human being of any age. Nope. I thought maybe 100 plus, they don't have to sleep 7 hours, but it doesn't say that. So there is not a single human being of any age that needs less than 7 hours. So if you're shooting for 7 and your baby wakes up in the middle of the night, whoop, you lost it. If If you're shooting for 7 and you have to pee in the middle of the night, guess what? You've lost it. You're shooting for 7 and the cats outside are having an argument. Well, you lost it, right? And so you need to not be shooting for 7. You need to be shooting for 8, 9 hours of sleep. You also are not average humans. You guys are not regular people. You're CrossFitters, right? You guys are not normal. You know that, right? Like, you hung out with people outside of here. You're not normal. You're doing high-intensity training 5 to 6 days a week. And so your body needs more than this. This is your friend, your 7 hours guy. That's your friend who has a desk job, who doesn't have children, who doesn't do anything except watch TV after work, right? 7 hours is plenty. That's not you, right? You guys are doing CrossFit. You're raising families, you have jobs, you have hobbies. There's a lot going on in your life. 7 hours is not enough. Make sense? Okay. Okay, so I was doing a little research on like, okay, how do we present this? And I found this study that was done where 18 participants were taken through an experiment. Half of them were given 8.5 hours in bed, and half of them were given 5.5 hours in bed for an 8-week period. And then they swapped them, and they had them do the opposite. So the 5.5-hour people then did the 8.5, and the 8.5-hour people did the 5.5. They were also put into a calorie deficit. And remember, that's part of the quick cut is we're trying to get you into a calorie deficit through your habits of just eating fruits, vegetables, and protein sources. So they were put into a calorie deficit. They weren't exercising, mind you, so there's a lot more lean mass loss here than we would expect from you guys who are exercising. But what they found was this, that those folks who were in the 5.5-hour group in bed, they lost that much lean mass. Lean mass includes your muscle mass, so the big orange block right here, compared to fat mass. The body maintained the fat mass and just dumped the muscle mass and the lean mass on the body. And this did include some water weight in here as well. Does that make sense? And then the folks who were in bed for 8.5 hours, during that time period, they still lost more lean mass. They're in a deficit, they're not exercising, right? But look at the difference in fat loss compared to lean mass loss. Right? Huge difference. They're in a calorie deficit. What's the difference? Sleep. Their time at rest. Okay? And so, do you want to go over those points?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, so that's our, the fact that sleep affects that lean mass. The other things that sleep, though, it ultimately affects how we eat and how our hunger levels are driven and all of these things. So if we look at this, people who sleep less they tend to consume more calories in general, right? And with those calories, they tend to be more of the sugary, the processed carbs, things that aren't on the quick cut, but that we can easily overconsume and grab when we're tired. And there's actually a hormonal reason behind that. So when we don't sleep as well, there's 2 hormones that control our sleep. We've got ghrelin, which is in charge of us actually eating,
Control
right?
our hunger.
Yes, controlling our hunger and having the appetite, right? So if we have more ghrelin, we're going to be more hungry all the time. And then leptin is our other food hormone. Basically, it signals to us that we're full, right? That we are done eating. And so if we have less leptin, we don't ever feel full, and so we keep eating. So ultimately, we put those 2 together, they're affected by sleep, and we end up eating more and not feeling full as such. So what do? They found that 300 extra calories per day on average for people who are sleeping less. So we put all that together, and we end up, if we sleep less, we eat more, we gain more weight, right? We end up seeing that less than 6 hours of sleep, you're 55% more likely to become obese than those who sleep 7 to 9 hours.
55%.
Pretty drastic.
That's crazy, right? That's big. That's really big. That's just your sleep. Yeah.
So, yeah, there's actually hormonal things going on when we don't sleep there.
Okay, so if you're not sold on sleep yet, we'll keep going. All right, so this right here is what happens when you train. Are you guys familiar with this graph? Some of you went to Fitness 101 recently. I added it to our talk. So what this is showing, and I'm going to come over here and put you out of the way. What this is showing is what happens during training. These are the dips. Did you guys know that you walk in fitter than you leave? You come into the gym for a workout in a better state than when you leave. Right? Okay, so you walk in and you have a level of ability and capability, and then we put you through a workout, which is a stress, and you leave with less capability, right? Like someone would have an easier time stealing your purse after a workout than before a workout, right? So what's happening there is we're actually creating a breakdown of your body. Yes? You guys are familiar with that feeling. Okay, but what makes us better? It's the time from that point forward where the body is recovering and rebuilding you. The body does this thing where it overcompensates for what you just did to it, and it builds you up better than you were before the workout, right? It's almost like if you think of the conversation happening between you and your body's like, oh, you're going to do that to me? Well, I'm going to make myself even better, so the next time you do that to me, it's not so bad. That's the conversation. So when that happens, we call it adaptation. You guys heard that word? You're adapting to what you just put your body through. And so this is adaptation. So you do this, that's the workout, right? Here's where your purse gets stolen, you can't do anything about it. And then you adapt, and you're up to here now, right? The body makes this change. Is Daniel here? Daniel asked me about this idea of progressive overload. Have you guys heard of this? It's gotten popular lately. Everyone likes to talk about it. It's just basically this. We're putting your body under stress. It's putting more on your body than you're used to, right? That's the overloading. We do it all the time. And then you recover and you get new abilities. You can lift heavier weights. You can run faster. You can jump better. You have better coordination, right? That's this. Now, where do you think we do most of this adaptation in your day? Sleeping. That's right, sleeping. So if you minimize the amount of time you have to do this, you are minimizing your ability to get to new abilities, to make those adaptations. We've seen athletes who, they train 5 to 6 days a week, they don't get sufficient sleep, and they just hang out right here. Oh, this is fun, right? I haven't PR'd in forever. I'm not getting stronger. I'm not getting better at the workouts. I haven't gotten my pull-up yet, right? But why is that happening? It's not the training, it's the recovery that gets us to the new ability. We like to point fingers at the training. We are stressing you out sufficiently, I guarantee it, okay? You ever walk out of here and be like, well, that wasn't stressful enough, right? No, we are doing this. The question is, are you doing this? This is where progress actually happens. Does that make sense? Okay, good. So what we found is during sleep, and you guys already know this, during sleep, deep sleep is where we get our growth hormone and testosterone. That's where the peak of those hormones happen, is when you are sleeping. Okay, if you don't get to deep sleep, you don't get that peak. You don't get it. You don't get that benefit. Poor sleep, meaning maybe you're in bed, but it's not good. You're being woken up by the cats having conversations and the babies and all the things, right? Or the TV's on all night. So you've got this sort of like, oh, TV, oh, sleep, oh, TV, oh, sleep, right? Poor sleep, we've got more muscle breakdown happening and less muscle synthesis. That just means the creation of muscle mass. We're actually creating it while you sleep. Cool? Okay. Now, fun story. One time in my adult life, because I did this as a teen, but I did an all-nighter, right? You just stay up all night long. I had to get something done. It was, but I was like, okay, one time as an adult having to pull an all-nighter, not a big deal. But I wasn't tired yet. I went to my CrossFit class. It was 5 a.m. class and wasn't tired. I'd been up all night. And you guys have seen me do jump rope. Not bad, right? Pretty consistent. Don't mess up too much. Went to this 5 a.m. class. We had double unders in the workout. And I could not get my rope to do the thing. And I couldn't get my feet to do the thing. And I couldn't believe it. I wasn't tired. I wasn't even tired, right? But like my body, my nervous system would not do the thing. There was no coordination. I couldn't even do single unders. I was laughing hysterically. So that was the tired part. But, right, I was like, this isn't working. Can I tell your story? Good. So just last week, Patty was in here doing cleans. also giggling because she got like 3 hours of sleep and her body wouldn't do the thing. Like it just would not coordinate the arms and the legs. And so that's a symptom of lack of sleep. It's real. You guys should try it sometime. Not here. Do it somewhere else, okay? But get lack of sleep and then try to do something that requires coordination and you'll find you're kind of a dud, okay? So if we need to apply stress to the body, right, then and you come in here and you're unable to do it in a way that makes any progress, then we're not going to get the benefits of that training program, right, or that workout. When you're physically exhausted, whether you know it or not. Okay, I was just talking to somebody. I wish I could remember who it was. Said, oh, I remember who it was. One of our newer folks. He goes, I feel so alert when I've had 5 hours of sleep or less. This is a teenager. And I was like, bro, that's your body on adrenaline. That's not okay, right? Like, yeah, sure, you feel alert. Have you guys ever experienced that? Yeah, where you're like, oh, this is awesome, I can do anything. And then the next day, you're like, oh, right? Your body is compensating for the fact that you just gave it no sleep. It's not a good thing, okay? But the fact is, your workouts will not be as productive if you have not had sufficient sleep. They just won't be. Okay, you're not going to be able to produce as much power. You're not going to be as coordinated. We're not going to get you better at moving. Your body's not going to learn anything while you're in that state. And so, yes, we still want you to come work out. We still want you to maintain your habits. But the answer is we need to get you more sleep to make those time periods and those training periods more effective for you. Does that make sense? Okay.
So there's a couple different ways that we can start to address our sleep. Who's heard of circadian rhythm? Heard of it? Okay. So our circadian rhythm is our body's internal clock, right? It's a 24-hour clock. And what it's really happening in there is the body produces different hormones as we go throughout the day, right? We wake up in the morning, we get cortisol, right? Cortisol is that stress hormone that gets us going, right? It pumps us up, gets us ready for the day, all the way through till the end of the day where we produce melatonin, makes us sleepy. So there are actual hormonal things happening in there, but all you need to know is that 24 hours our body's going through this process. And so there's things that we can do throughout the day to set our body up to actually make sure it can sleep at night and rest at night and stay asleep at night and all of those things. We call that sleep hygiene. Has anyone ever heard that term? Okay. So sleep hygiene is basically, here's the things that you can do, right, that set you up for that good night of sleep. We just handed out a checklist that has a whole bunch of different things on there. And so what we want you to do is go through that checklist and check it off, right? So, and it starts at the top of our day with our planning and our exercise and moves all the way through until bedtime. And so there's things that you can do to set you up for that night of good sleep. Let me see.
I'm so glad we should use the restroom before we go to bed.
It's
Yep,
true.
you should.
So here's a story for that. Yeah.
50-year-old woman.
Yeah. I've had patients, they say, I get up every night, go to the bathroom, and yes, there's other reasons, but I'm like, did you try going to the bathroom before sleeping? Like, oh, I never thought of that. So it's a thing. So that is why it's on there. Yeah. And then they came back and they're like, oh, it fixed the problem. And it's like, there we go. So yeah. Like I said, set your sleep schedule. That's that first one. You know, set your wake up alarm every day the same time. How many of us weekend we get off schedule and we just like wake up whenever?
I wake up whenever, but I do have an hour difference.
Okay, it looks pretty good there, but yeah, ideally we have the same schedule all week, every day, really, because that's your body's going to get used to that schedule. Morning sunlight is also super helpful. It's to get that body going. Like we talked about, that cortisol, getting that started with our day. And that's to set that circadian rhythm I was talking about. And exercise, we're all getting that going on. And then the other big one here is making your bedroom sleep friendly, right? Quiet enough, dark enough, and cool enough, right? So you can set yourself up to actually be able to sleep comfortably in there. And then there's all the ones about food and stimulants and basically making sure our body's not doing a whole bunch of stuff while we're trying to sleep. It's just focusing on sleep. And then the last one's about setting that nighttime routine where we're actually winding down. Have you guys ever tried, you're on your phone or you're doing something like work right before bedtime and then you try to go to sleep and your mind's still racing? Right? We've all been there. That's not best for our sleep, guys. So if we can, we want to set up a wind down routine where you're kind of switching that day off, right? Getting those stressors out and starting to shift so we can let your body actually start to relax. And your mind, more importantly. Cool. So we want you to go through that whole checklist and check them off, right? It's set up for a checklist for a reason there. Cool.
For the fluids, does water count as well? So
Yep.
we don't want to drink an hour or two before going to sleep. No.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the idea of this checklist is just to get you the best possible sleep quality sleep possible, right? Because if you drink water before bed and you have to get up to pee, then you've now interrupted that sleep. You've interrupted the deep sleep, which is where we get the growth hormone peaking and we get the testosterone peaking, and now you got to go back through the sleep cycle to try to get back into that.
So, can we go back a slide one?
Yes. Oh, it went back on there.
It says evening 5 is when the best muscle strength happens. Is that the best time to work out then?
I don't know about that. Maybe. I don't know. Are you talking about best time to work out?
Yeah.
Oh, no. The best time to work out is the time you will work out 5 to 6 days a week. Mm-hmm. That's the best time to work out. Yeah.
Part of the reason they likely have it here is because high intensity exercise, like right before sleep, often stimulates people. So this is far enough away from, actual bedtime.
Yeah. Any time you work out is great. Mm-hmm. Yeah. The worst time to work out is the time you won't work out.
It's never.
Yeah. So, guys, how many of you are looking at the checklist being like, yep, already done? Right. So we all have opportunity here. This challenge is all about trying stuff and seeing how it affects our body. So this week, this is your focus. This is your focus to try and get through the whole checklist for all 7 nights before I see you next time. Any of you are like, yep, not doing it. Okay. Love your honesty. Yeah, which part? Peeing before bed?
No,
It's problematic.
Definitely not.
I'm going to hold it, and then I'm going to have to
Which part?
scream.
No screens an hour before bed. That one's tough. One of the other things you can do is you can get blue light glasses. The problem with the screens is the blue light coming through to your eyeballs. It's telling your body physically that the sun is up. It is not time to sleep because you're receiving the same type of light that you would from the sun being up. So if you put on some blue light glasses 1 to 2 hours before bed, it can help with that. That is another option. Okay? Does that handle that? Okay, cool. There's some cute ones out there too. They're very cheap on Amazon.
Everyone's watching. You get a pack of 3.
For Justin.
Good. Anyone else being like, yeah, not going to do that? Yeah.
I think for us, the fasting 2 hours before bed is hard because I get home from work at 5:30 and that
Yeah.
Yeah.
Me too.
bed by 7:30 to get up for the 5 a.m.
I have an issue too.
That's totally understandable. I'm in the same boat, right? I get out of here at 7:30, and I need to be in bed by 8. That's 30 minutes, right? In order to get up at 4, which is my wake time. So I'm in the same boat. That's probably the one that I will not be able to do because I also need to get my protein and I also need to get my fruits and vegetables. Yes.
I have night classes, and that's the same thing
Yeah.
I'm having to do.
So, there's going to be struggles there. Maybe it's something we try on the weekends to see if we sleep better. But essentially, like, if you're working all the way till, and then, I don't know, maybe I'll start eating while I'm coaching or something.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sure.
I understand. Totally understand. Yeah. Good. If anyone asks, I'll just be like, sleep checklist, right? Good. Okay, crew, so this is your focus sleep hygiene checklist. If you're really doing it, you're going to have 5, 6, 7 check marks all the way through that checklist. By the time we meet up next time, where you're actually going through and checking it off, this thing should be on your fridge or your nightstand. And then, of course, maintaining your workouts, maintaining your protein, and maintaining your fruits and vegetables. So we're building up. And then here's what's really cool. If you actually do this sleep checklist, regardless of whether you sleep the whole time you're in bed, but you actually do this checklist, we get to see how that's going to affect your results. How is it going to affect your muscle mass? How is it going to affect your fat mass? Maybe you'll get to see a big drop in your fat mass. You'll prove to yourself how important sleep is for you. Does that make sense? And your workouts are probably going to feel amazing. Okay? Good. Any questions? Cool. Let's work out.
Right.
Okay, go pee.